Alright, everybody. Something different this time. We have the latest patch test branch, which features a lot of silvers and I believe one gold on one of the teams. Very high skilled players and a short roundup of the changes. We have new torpedoes. They're faster. They work similar to the HEKP, where you can choose to make them more or less expensive. However, unlike those missiles, as you add maneuverability to the torpedo, they become more expensive. So this means you can actually get very cheap, very fast torpedoes. Their range has been adjusted. They're more of a short range, kind of final punch type weapon, but they can be devastating in certain circumstances. The big keynote change for this patch is mixed missile salvos. I believe that's what's being tested here. I did not have a chance to talk to the teams or anything like that, so I don't know exactly what they're bringing, but I believe that is the focus of today's test, is to test some of the new missiles. Decoys have been slightly rebalanced. You can fire a mixed salvo, like I mentioned, so that could be like a dedicated decoy missile along with some other types of missiles, all being fired in one volley. Looks like we have, these seem to all be the same thing. So just a standard volley coming out here. And the most jaw-dropping change has been a buff to the Soloman. It now has 58 centimeters of armor. While that doesn't sound like a lot, it does push up its survivability significantly. It will start to bounce 250 AP shells now beyond 15 degrees of deflection. So anything other than pretty much spot on a broadside is going to bounce that 250 AP. 450 has slimmed down the angle that you can pierce as well. Oh, these actually did lock onto the shuttle here. And not sure what Seeker's on there, but it did not go for the chaff. That is one shuttle. Go ahead and knocked out. Well, let's see. Does this have... This is not technically dead yet.
The enemy secured zone boxer.
And let's see what these up here are probably going to go for this Captain shuttle. Some early... yes. S2 hybrids also got a buff.
The enemy secured zone comet.
They're a little bit cheaper, a little bit easier to field. Looks like, in that case, they did go for the chaff. So C falls to the OSP team.
The enemy secured zone dagger.
Really, a big focus of this patch has been on bringing up the OSP, or the ANS capitals, I should say. The Axford also has received a buff. It now has the ability to repair more than the standard 10%. I believe it's 15% right now. So that would be if a module, for example, takes damage and it goes down to 50% health. If it retreats to cover and all the damage control teams are able to completely do their job, that 50% module could repair all the way up to 75%. So it makes the Axford kind of a scrappy, attrition-based hull. It's an interesting spot. I know a lot of people were complaining that the Axford wasn't very good in comparison to the Ocello, just pound for pound. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but if you are an Axford main, I'm sure it'll be a welcome change. Looks like the Corvette that was countering... What is this? Is it A? Can't tell. There's so many... Are these mines? Yeah. Okay, that is A in the center there. And these sprinters have run up and dumped mines all over it. More of these Cat Claw size 2 hybrids coming out. I guess they were radar based. That's why they went for the chaff. Let's see what they do here. Looks like they do... Well, they do maul those shuttles, actually. Not sure how many points were spent there. It's probably did not get its worth. Laid a couple sprint mines. Didn't even cap A. They got taken out before then. So pretty strong play. Let's see. I believe... Where are those black cats coming from? Probably not the BB, surely. I think I saw those come out of the CL. I'm not 100% sure. But they've definitely secured their value. Taking out these shuttles and putting some hurt onto the other capping forces of the OSP. There's still a lot of holes to get through, though. And mines being really used a lot. We don't see sprint mines too often anymore. Hey Ike, how's it going? So this is officially no longer leaks now. I did get your permission in order to stream this. That is mostly on account of the patches, as far as balance-wise, are pretty much set in stone at this point. We're not going to be seeing many large number changes either way. You know, if the testers find something that's completely broken, there might be a further change, but at this point, it's pretty much set in stone. It looks like a beam on this Axford's gone ahead and taken out the shuttle. Kind of an interesting position this Axford's managed to get itself in, mostly on account of the OSP has really committed hard on the underside of Arroyo here. There's a very distinct on top and below area of this map, thanks to this large section that just has this hole cut out in the middle. It's kind of interesting to see. We've got the liners and a whole lot of other ships on the bottom, leaving the top completely open for ANS here. Of course, on the top you do have B, C, and A here in the center that you can all hold from the middle. D and E are kind of more like pull capture points. You can go and sneak one, but most of the time, unless someone decides to get up to shenanigans, those points do not flip back and forth. Let's see if these missiles manage to connect. Looks like some good old-fashioned flak and Mark 62s. Well, there is one rebound there. It's taking care of that. Here comes some more. I believe those are rockets, right? Yes.
The enemy is securing Zone Dagger.
Rocket's still kind of an interesting place. They're really good against small ships. Not so great against capitals right now. But it looks like they're not being fired in the amounts that are necessary to connect. Well, as I say that, they hit. I guess that rebound was in a reload or something. But now that that's one hit and taken out a little bit, maybe one more volley. Uh-oh, disconnect there. Let's check out what else is happening around the map. Yep, ANS done a good job of securing the top. Oh my goodness, here comes sprint mines into that Axford's. It's gun. It's eviscerated. Oh my. Oh, that's some kind of visual bug there. Oh, there they go. They're popping out. There were so many mines that went off. They could not correctly be removed from the game in time. My goodness. Wow. Luckily, we just kind of caught the tail impact there. Man, Gamma must not be happy about that. That's a huge chunk of his fleet points that just evaporated. More cat claws coming in. Let's see how they fare against this shuttle. I don't see chaff going out, which means this is probably going to be dead. Oh yeah, super dead. Super dead there. Looks like... Oh, those are AMMs. Okay. Definitely too little too late on those. I guess this is a scout corvette? I'm not sure what's going on there. Some jamming happening. Let's see, are these armed with torpedoes? Yep. Torpedo tug. Probably going to be a very popular archetype this patch. Torpedoes got buffed. Tugs were already kind of in a good place, but very, very glass cannon type fleet. And now the cannon is so much bigger and more reliable. You can really slam a whole lot of torpedoes home on somebody. Oh, and more Black Claws. Not sure. I guess these were intended to be fired at the line ships there, but they do go for the tugs. Well, I managed to connect on some of them. It's a very pretty corkscrew there. There are restores, at least some, available on some of these tugs, so that's probably not going to knock them out. Yep, there goes that Axford. It just exploded. So we have one BB, one missile cruiser that looks like it's about down to half on its ammo count. Ooh, another mine taking out a Corvette trying to cap A there. Alright, let's see. The action right here is going to be with this tug group. If this tug group manages to close on this battleship and get its torpedoes off, pretty much be it for that. AMMs are actually not fast enough. Looks like, again, one or two missiles got through. Yeah, torp buff is in, Ike. So torps are faster. I don't want to say they're more maneuverable. You can jack up the maneuverability. The main thing is that they got a slight range reduction in return for a lot more speed. Oh, another Corvette triggers some more sprint mines. You know, I kind of discounted how much damage these sprint mines were going to do, and you know, call me surprised. They've definitely defended this point from at least two capping Corvettes. Let's see what this Upsello is up to. It's a 250 Upsello, which is an interesting choice. Yeah, ANS has definitely identified that this torp tug group is a threat. Is this this is a gun, okay. Unfortunately, the ANS team has actually lost so many Corvettes due to mines and other attacks that they're actually kind of in a big trouble with being able to capture these points. Here we see B is also falling to this shuttle here. Looks like those rose thorns. Oh, they do manage to connect. It's not enough to take it out. So B will also fall to the OSB. That puts 4 points in their favor. They're already up by 150 points. Kind of a tough situation for the ANS. They definitely had the fleet punch power to go and take the top. Maybe a little bit more aggressive play by this battleship would have been able to help. The problem is there aren't very many good targets for the battleship to go after. There's this one Upsello and these line ships, but they're kind of hiding. No doubt they're just deciding to leave most of the attacking to the lighter elements of the OSB. They have the weapons to deal with this battleship. Here come those torpedoes. Let's see if any of these... Oh, and they do. Only 3 or 4. You can see instantly the effect. Those, I'm not sure actually if those were dialed up now. You can no longer use the same minimum, I believe it was 54 centimeters worth of explosive HEI on a torpedo. That no longer goes through the armor, and that might have been the case. Because those were 4 torpedo hits, and that's definitely not... Well, I suppose it could be. Seems kind of off, though. It didn't even take out the turret. Granted, along with the armor increase, the turrets have received a big health increase. So this BB looks like its plan is to go for B. Let's see how this gun CL fares against these rockets. Looks like we'll have no problem. They were fired kind of from a far distance there. Hopefully that wasn't all they had.
The enemy is securing zone Boxer.
So the BB will easily take Bravo back there. And looks like the liners and the Ocello are going to deal with, I'm assuming this is out of missiles. Yeah, the empty Vauxhall here that attempted to go for E, but is being watched by 3 line ships and an Ocello, so it's definitely going to die in very short order. Well, let's see. There's more rockets coming out. Yeah, and there's too many AMMs, there's too many defenders, there's too much PD. Granted, this is kind of an interesting build. There's only, I would guess, a trio. Yeah, there's one on the other side.
The enemy secured
A
zone
trio of defenders and a whole bunch of AMMs. I wonder if that's an adjustment to the new state of missiles. Anyway, I believe that is the... Oh, no, they still have some torpedoes left. Wonder why they haven't been fired yet. You're in range. Surely there's not a better target to use your torpedoes against other than a battleship. Let's see. Oh. Some more rocket play coming out. A couple more torpedoes. Looks like those have missed. Kind of a lot happening right now. But yeah, so that CL did go down. I'm not sure. Those must have come from this ship.
The enemy is securing
Not
zone
sure what it
Comet.
was firing at. Oh, it looks like they're going after this line ship over there. Okay, so they were crews. I don't want to lose sight of this battleship, but I'm trying to keep an eye on those missiles also. Looks like the rest of them missed. It's a slightly damaged line ship. Still got that Ocello, still got those pair of line ships down there. I'm very confused. Going for a missile launch here? Nope, that's AMMs. Alright. Here comes some 450 fire, but what is happening to those torpedoes? Is it... Oh, it's launchers knocked out. Okay. Alright, that makes sense. Yeah, so if those launchers are out, then it's some 250mm fire coming from this, and that's pretty much it. Is that offensive S1s? Ooh. And that was a pretty big rocket strike. No restorers left on this, taking out multiple mounts there. And with that, that's pretty much the end of A&S here. We've got one gun Vauxhall left on the field, and the battleship. The problem is that's not enough to contest the remaining small ships, and definitely not to go after the Ocello. Here comes some more rockets. Ooh, looks like they just missed that Vauxhall. Nope, not all of them. A couple hits into the engineering section. Yep, it's not looking so good. No restores left. Was that a CIC? No, just the reactor and the drive. Either way, it's dead in the water. Let's see what's... This battleship's actually pretty full health here, but it can't do anything on its own. Well, It can cap. I shouldn't say it can't do anything. It can cap B and be perfectly happy with that. But otherwise, nothing. Let's see. So as you can see, the battleships are noticeably tougher now. That's the biggest takeaway. A lot more size 2 hybrid use is most likely going to be coming around. They got a price decrease, a speed increase, a couple of nice things for them. And there come the surrenders. You can go ahead. I think it's surrender all around. There's no way A&S can win this now. So I'm not going to go through and do my normal analysis of this was good, that was bad. This is a testing game. People are going to be playing weird things, odd things. They're going to be trying to do things to test the game rather than just win. So, but it was a good game. You got to see some interesting use out of the S2Hs there. Kind of unfortunate, I didn't see any mixed salvos. So they are in the game, they're definitely a thing. It's probably going to take a lot more iteration than the testers can get through to figure out what the best use of them is going to be. I know you can do some really interesting things, but we haven't taken it to a point that we are really confident in saying, okay, yeah, this is the best way to do things. Or like every missile volley should have a decoy, or should have a self-screening jammer or something like that. There's just too many variables, but it is an interesting new system. I'm looking forward to what people come up with, and we find out what is good, what is bad. And that's a great thing about the game. It gets patches, it gets new features, and then the meta gets shooken up. And I do think that the meta is definitely going to be shook. These new battleships are absolutely terrifying if you don't have the tools. And some of the tools aren't in a good place right now. Plasma especially is knocked way, way down from where it used to be. But we've got new torpedoes. 450 is always good. We're seeing some creative uses of mixing in different types of other strategies, whether it's a little bit more rocket shuttles to kind of push the cap game harder and not always just expect that you'll be able to kill every battleship on the field. Just different things. Come in more rockets. And we can see now, instead of 2 or 3 rockets needing to hit the same place in order to weaken the armor so that they get through, I think it's now 4 or 5 in some cases, depending on how they wind up shredding. It's almost to the point that if you have the choice, you'd much rather shoot your rockets at a lighter target rather than trying to kill a Soloman with them. That's the state they're in right now. I guess everyone wants to kind of sport it out and get all the way to the end here. Interestingly, even though there's all these changes, A&S hasn't really experienced any type of meta shakeup, at least as far as the hulls that they bring. You know, maybe certain players will be slightly more inclined to bring a battleship or to bring a cruiser, but the kind of capital heavy, not really capital heavy, but at least 50% capital play, I think is kind of usual for A&S, and they really haven't strayed too far out of there. It's more that now when you see a battleship on the field, it can be doing different sort of tasks. Before it was kind of relegated to fire support or supporting a flank. Now it really does feel like it can return to that sort of days of old where you could push it around a corner and attack move it directly onto a point and expect it to be reasonably healthy when it got there. You know, obviously, if it eats a bunch of mines, if it eats a bunch of torpedoes, something like that happens, it's always going to be in trouble, but it definitely is not in the same place where if you come around a corner and there's a couple liners that they'll just shred it before it even has time to make a reaction. Which, you know, pros and cons, we'll have to see how it plays out, but it's definitely stronger. It returns sort of that kind of anchor type role that I guess, you know, A&S didn't really have in the new OSP lineup. That was my advice always to players that wanted to play a battleship. Just stay near some cover, and if you're getting shot too much, go behind it. Because in the days of old, that wasn't really the case. If you were getting shot too much, you just kind of shot back and had a brawl. And by a long time ago, I mean when the A&S could only play the A&S and the OSP didn't exist. Since the OSP's introduction, it was kind of a hard adjustment, I think, for a lot of people. The concept that their battleship could no longer outshoot absolutely everything. And with this armor buff, it kind of returns to there. Certainly not if there are 3 450 liners and they all decide to open it up on it at the same time. But then again, 3 450 liners have a lot more blind spots and things that they're going to be vulnerable to than a 450 battleship.